हॅलो अँड वेलकम आणि आमची कार्यावळ जी जावन आसा वा स्वाद. खरेंच दूरदर्शनान आमच्या खातीर ही कार्यावळ हाडल्या की तुमचो स्वाद जाणा जावपाक आनी आमचो स्वाद तुमचे मेरेन पावपाक. तर इश्टानो, जेवण कोणाक आवडना आनी तें जर जेवण फटाफट जालें आनी तें बी टीप ट्रिक आनी टॅक्नीक हे तिनूय गोश्टी मेळून जर जाले जाल्यार तेजो स्वाद आनिकूय वाडटा. तर हीच टीप ट्रिक आनी टॅक्नीक घेवन येता ही कार्यावळ आमची जी जावन आसा वा स्वाद. आनी तेजे खातीर आमी आयज आसा IHM हांच्या हितून आनी तेंच्या कार्यावळींत आमी बरे बरे शेफ हांगा हाडलेले आसा. आनी आमच्या बरोबर आयज आसा शेफ जेचें नांव आसा डियॉन फर्नांडीस. हॅलो शेफ, वेलकम. आणि म्हाका सांगात शेफ, तुमी आयज आमकां खंयचे डेजर्ट दाखयतले?
Today we'll be doing a brownie. Okay, it's a favorite of many youngsters especially, and it's a pretty easy dessert, so that's going to be fun for everybody. Even kids can make it, and let's see how it goes.
Okay, केक सगळ्यांक आवडटा आणि तुमकां खंयचे डिश आवडटा?
I chose both of my favorite desserts today actually, and today we'll be doing one, and the next time you'll do the second one.
ओके, चल. तर म्हाका इतली रूच आयला की तुमी केन्ना स्टार्ट करता आणि तो जर ब्रावनी आसत जाल्यार वाव. सो शेफ, लेट्स केक माय डे. येस.
Okay, so what we have here is a list of ingredients that we'll be using today. We have chocolate.
Wow, my favorite.
Okay, you could either use pure chocolate, or you could use, this is what we are using is a chocolate compound.
Okay,
So this is easier to use. It's much cheaper than the real chocolate, and yeah, it's much easy to use once it's chopped up into smaller pieces so that it melts quickly and it melts evenly. Next we have butter. Okay, what we're using is salted butter. Okay, if you have unsalted butter, it's good, but you would have to add a little bit of salt a little bit later. Okay, but since we're using salted butter, we will not use salt in the
So आता मी
recipe.
salted butter use.
Salted butter, yes. This is salted butter. Okay, then we have cocoa powder. Okay, dark cocoa powder. This enhances the flavor of the chocolate. Okay, you get a stronger chocolate flavor, so that's why we are adding cocoa powder into it. Next, we'll be adding coffee extract. Okay, coffee also enhances the flavor of the chocolate. It is an optional ingredient. You could do away with it. You don't need it, but adding coffee gives it a little bit of a stronger flavor profile. Okay. We'll be folding in chocolate chips. Okay, these chocolate chips add a little bit of extra chocolate, and everybody loves chocolate. So you could either use chocolate chips or you could use chopped nuts.
Okay. That is for garnishing.
No, this is inside. This is inside. So instead of chocolate chips, if you want, you could also add chopped walnuts, or you could add a mix of both. Okay. Or you could also add raisins if you want. Okay, to give it a, if you love raisins, you can add raisins to it. We have a little bit of vanilla essence. Okay, vanilla essence also adds flavor and it complements the chocolate. So vanilla essence is added. And then we have eggs. Okay, we'll be using 3 whole eggs. They will be incorporated into the batter. Okay. Sugar. What we're using is castor sugar, but you could also use granulated sugar. Castor sugar dissolves a little bit easier, so that is why we'll be using
sugar powder.
Sugar.
मी घेऊ शकतो.
You could use sugar. Yeah, but again, the cost factor is important whenever you're preparing something. And last is your flour, refined wheat flour or maida as we know it. Okay, that is also going to be added into the batter. Yeah. So I'll just heat up the water. What we're going to do is we're going to be melting the chocolate and the butter.
Okay, so उदक कितले घेवप quantity?
Not too much. We just need a gentle steaming of the bowl. The heat will be sufficient to melt the chocolate.
फक्त chocolate
Just for
melt
melting.
करपाक.
You could also do it in the microwave, so it'll be easier.
आणि मायक्रोवेव्ह दवरताना कितलं टेम्परेचर?
You use it 10 seconds at a time because chocolate burns very easily. So you'll have to be careful that it doesn't burn. So put it in a glass bowl, put it in the microwave, give it a blast for 10 seconds, stop, stir it, again 10 seconds till it is completely melted.
Okay.
But you have to be careful not to burn the chocolate.
Okay, so here easy method ki आम्ही direct.
This is easier.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just add the butter to it, and we'll start melting it together.
So butter कितले घेतला?
I'll share the quantities in the. This is about 115 grams,
Okay.
give and take 1-2 grams, and that's 140 grams of chocolate.
So different between जे केक आणि ब्राउनी तुन की ब्राउनी मातसो फ्लॅट असता.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, a cake is a very light, spongy texture, and you have different cakes as well. You have fruit cakes which are heavier with a lot of fruit. A brownie is more like a confection. Okay, it's designed. It was first prepared somewhere in the late 1800s because they wanted to put something into a lunch box.
Okay.
Okay, so this lady Bertha Palmer by name, she commissioned the pastry chef to prepare something that could go into a lunch box. And since then, over the more than 100 years now, it has come to where we are enjoying this item today. Okay, there are many variations, and yeah.
आणि लंच बॉक्सान जर ब्राउनी असेल जाल्यार वाव.
Yeah, it's just an added. Okay, so we won't allow the water to heat too much.
Okay, म्हणजे
Okay,
फक्त
because there's a
वाफ
lot of
असलो.
steam. Yeah, but to be careful of steam, it might burn. Okay, so this gentle heating is sufficient for melting the chocolate. Let's take it here.
सो शेफ तुम्ही सांगलेल्या भशेन प्रत्येक डिश जे आमी करता ताच्या फाटल्यान एक स्टोरी आसता. आतां तुमी म्हटलें की एक बायल आशिल्ले जिचें नांव आशिल्लें बर्था पामा. सो तिणें कितें केलें जाल्यार तो हेजे ब्राउनी म्हणजे केक जी टिफिनान फीट जावपा खातीर कितें तरी नवे इनोवेशन्स केले. म्हणजे केक जो तुमी म्हटलो जो मातसो लिटल स्पॉन्जी आनी पफ आसता आणि ब्राउनी असल्या कारणान तो इजिली टिफिनान फीट जाता.
You can easily pick it up with your hand.
ओके
Yeah,
आणि
so that's what.
काडपाक मेळटा
Yeah.
हातीन.
Yeah.
ओके सो तेजे वयल्यान ब्राउनीचो जन्म जालो.
Yes.
वाव. सो बेजीक ब्राउनी करतना बारीक बारीक स्टेप्स लक्षान घेवंक जाय. ते म्हटल्यार चॉकलेट जळपाक जायना.
Yes.
सो वाफेचेर सवकास ती मेल्ट जावंक जाय.
Just melted. Yeah.
आणि आता हळूहळू वास येवपाक लागलो.
Yeah. The butter and the chocolate, they come together and. You get
सपोज
a lovely
हांवें
smell.
डायरेक्ट अशें खाल्लेलें कडू लागतलें रायट.
It would be slightly bitter. Okay. Kids will not be too fond of the bitterish taste. Okay. So now we're going to add the cocoa powder to it. Then we'll add the extract, coffee extract.
कॉफी.
Yeah.
सो कितले 1 स्पून कॉफी.
Yes, just about a teaspoon. Then we'll add the sugar to it. Now you were asking me the difference between a cake and a brownie. Okay, you'll find that the proportion of sugar in a brownie is very high. Okay, and that's what gives you that dryness outside, but a nice soft fudgy texture inside.
ओके म्हणजे जेन्ना आमी साखर भितर घालता तेन्ना ती तुमी म्हणटा की तो चड गोड लागता.
Yeah, the proportion of sugar is very high in a brownie.
हां ओके
Which
म्हणजे
is
चड
not-
आसता.
yeah.
ब्राउनीन शुगर लेवल चड आसता आणि केकान मातशें कमी
Yeah,
आसता.
yeah.
ओके आणि तेज्या खातीर तो म्हाका दिसता शुगर लेवल कमी आसा म्हणून तो पफ जाता आणि ब्राउनी तितली पफ जायना.
Yeah. And that's also it improves the keeping quality of a brownie. So you can keep a brownie for much longer than a cake, and it won't taste stale.
ओके आणि आता कलर सुद्धा चेंज झाला.
Yeah. So just add the essence.
ओके आणि राउंड राउंडूच एकाच डायरेक्शनान ते करचे आसता और
Yeah, generally you could change directions, but not too frequently. It's better. Your mixing is better when it is in one direction. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll just add the eggs. So we'll add the eggs one at a time.
ओके
So you don't need to beat it too much. You just have to add one at a time.
सो एक एक करून ताती घालपाचे.
Yes. Yes.
हेच्या फाटल्यान टॅक्नीक कितें म्हणटा म्हणजे एक एक करून कित्याक एकदम घातले जाल्यार
It becomes easier to incorporate it. If you put all the egg at one time, it tends to slide around the place.
ओके
So just adding one egg at a time makes it easier to
इजी
handle.
पडटा
Yeah,
आमकां
yeah,
हँडल
yeah,
करपाक
yeah.
ओके आनी ते मिक्सूय बरें जावन येता
Yes, yeah. The smell of chocolate is, along with the essence, is
कॉफी एसेन्स आनी चॉकलेट एसेन्स मिक्स केलो लायक डिफरंट फ्लेवर म्हणजे वास वेगळोच येता
yeah.
ताका
You get a stronger profile. Okay, whereas only chocolate is good enough, but coffee just gives it that extra kind of kick.
सो आनी दुसरे सुद्दां आमी डेजर्ट्स करता किंवा आनी कितें शेक तितून आमी कॉफी एसेन्स घातलेलो तो मातसो तेजो टेस्ट डिफर करता
Yeah, you got to see how coffee blends with the main flavor.
ओके
Yeah, so orange and coffee has got a good combination. So you work with different combinations that will help you enhance the flavor profile. Now walnut and chocolate also goes well together. So you could add walnuts. Raisins also goes well, especially if they're soaked in rum.
ओके
Okay. Speaking of which, I remember when I was a kid and I used to come to Goa for my holidays. There used to be this gentleman who used to live in Kalangut area, and he used to supply all the shops with these brownies. And that's what really I was first introduced to the brownie at that time.
वाव म्हणजे तुम्ही गोंयान जेन्ना आयले आनी
Yeah.
कलंगूट तुम्ही एका मनशाक पयलो जो ब्रावनी सप्लाय करता तेन्ना वाव
So he was a foreigner. I think he was a European.
आनी तो ब्रावनी सप्लाय करतालो
Yeah, only brownies. So he had two flavors. One was rum and raisin. I forgot the other one. But because of that, I remember I need to learn how to prepare a brownie.
ओके सो तुम्ही ब्रावनी हांगा येवन मागीर शिकले हळू
Yes, yeah. That's it. This is the third egg, the last egg, before we add the flour and the
ओके सो एक एक करून आता हे आमचे लास्ट तिसरे ताती हितून मिक्स जाल्ले आसा
yeah.
आनी आता लिटल पफ कशें जाला न्हू
So
कलर
the quantity is increased quite a bit with the eggs. Okay, so now what we have left is just the chocolate chips and the flour. Okay. In order to mix them well, I will be adding some walnuts as well. So I will reduce the quantity of.
थोडेशे भितर
We'll
मिक्स
keep the same quantity and replace it with walnuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
सो हे थोडे दवरला आमी
Yeah.
आनी
So
सो आता हितून वॉलनट आनी चोको चिप्स
choco chips and flour.
एंड फ्लावर
Okay. So what we're going to do is mix these. Dry ingredients, and now we're going to fold in. Okay, this technique is specially used for cakes.
Okay.
We want to mix the flour in, but we don't want to stir it. Okay, so this technique is known as folding in.
ओके आता आमी फोल्डिंग टेक्नीक म्हणजे आमी
Yeah.
फोल्ड करून म्हणजे चाळपाची चाळप
No
ना
need of stirring. Yeah.
ओके
So I'm going to
ब्राउनिंग
yes,
फोल्डिंग
folding,
टेक्नीक
yeah.
वापरप ओके
brownie and any cakes.
ओके सगळे केक करतना फोल्डिंग
Folding,
टेक्नीक
yeah. So I've put half the flour, and I'm going to cut it and fold it,
ओके कट करप
and gently fold it over. How you fold a paper, the same way we
सो
gently mix it together.
बारीक बारीक टिप्स ह्यो आनी टेक्नीक
Yeah.
जी आसा जी व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट
Yeah. Otherwise, what happens is if you overmix it, it tends to become more like a biscuit. The texture changes and it becomes hard and becomes like a biscuit.
सो आमी कट करप आनी
Fold
फोल्डिंग
it, yeah. So it's the moment you cannot see dry flour, stop mixing.
हा
You
म्हणजे
add the-
सगळो मैदो भितर सारको मिक्स जावंक जाय
Yeah. And then you add the second quantity of flour.
आनी हे बी सेम वे
Same way.
कट एंड
Cut
फोल्ड
and fold. Do you want to try?
येस ओके कट
And turn the bowl. Yeah. Turn the bowl this way. You're getting it. Yeah. That's quick. Yeah.
तुमकां खूब एक्सपिरियन्स आसा 29 इयर्स जाले तुमकां ह्या
Yeah,
फिल्डान
yeah,
सो स्लोली गूड सो शेफ तुमी डेली केक शिकयता डेली करता आनी तुमकां डेली यम्मी यम्मी केक खावपाक मेळटा आसतलें रायट
That's dangerous too. It's
but
dangerous for
still.
health, yeah. Yeah, but it's always a pleasure to have a good dessert at the end of your meal.
Okay.
Because even if your meal is not too good, it can be saved with a good dessert. Okay, so in case you're inviting your friends over and some of your dishes are not too good, you can always wow them with this dessert.
सो आता आमचे फुल मिक्स जाल्ले आसा.
Yeah.
ओके आनी हितून आमकां एक म्हणजे तो काय मैदो दिसना, फुल व्हायट कलरचो.
Yeah, that means all the flours mixed in nicely. Avoid over mixing at the stage, but also make sure that you have gone right till the bottom when you're mixing. Otherwise, sometimes you have a lot of flour at the bottom. So you got to be careful that you have mixed it thoroughly. And then we will now transfer it into our baking tin. Now, in order to prepare the baking tin, what we have done is we have greased the baking tin either with melted butter, or you could also use oil or spray of oil, and we have lined it with this butter paper.
ओके म्हणजे आमी ऑयल किंवा बटर लावन ग्रीस करपाक.
Grease it, and then we put the butter paper on the all four sides and the bottom.
ओके.
Okay, this butter paper will help remove the cake from the pan after it's baked, and also it helps protect the oven, the cake from the heat of the oven.
ओके म्हणजे काडपाक आमकां इजी पडटा
becomes
बटर
easy,
पेपर
yes,
आसतना
yeah.
आनी हीट सुद्दां आमकां लागना म्हणजे
It releases.
रिलीजीस. ओके.
So if you don't have butter paper at home, also it's fine. It's just that it's a little bit risky.
म्हणजे मागीर आमकां हां
to
म्हणजे टर्न
remove it,
करतना
yeah, yeah.
बरें हें वयचें.
Yeah.
ओके.
Okay, so if you don't have butter paper, also you can still manage.
पूण ग्रीस करून आमकां तें दवरचें पडटा.
Grease it and put it in.
ओके. सो आतां आमी हितून घातलेलें आसा आनी हें म्हाका दिसता न्हू जेन्ना आमी घालता तेन्ना तेजे लेवल जे आसा ते मातशे तितले आसूंक जाय न्हू.
Yeah.
सो ते लेवलूय फुल भरून घालूंक जायना अशें कितें.
No, it has to be fairly shallow so that
Okay.
it bakes thoroughly. If it's too deep, then you'll find it a little bit sticky in the center.
सो आनी एक गजाल आमकां लक्षांत दवरूंक जाय की ती फूल बॅटर जें आसा तें फूल भरपाक जायना.
Yeah.
मातशें शॅलो आसूंक जाय. ओके.
Okay. So that way it bakes completely. Okay. So now we will proceed to put it into the oven. We'll be baking it for about 25 to 30 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius.
ओके.
That depends on your oven. So 25 to 30
25
minutes
to 30 मिनिट्स बेक करपाक
should
जाय.
be done. Okay.
येस. सो आतां आमी आमचो ब्रावनी बेक करपाक दवरला.
Yes, I've set it at
25 to
180
30
degrees,
मिनिट्स.
yes.
सो आमी वॉच किंवा टायम लावचो पडटलो. आनी
Alright.
म्हाका सांगा शेफ तुमी हे तुमच्या आवय कडल्यान शिकले तुमी म्हणटाले. म्हणजे कितें डीश जो तुमी हो डीश जो आसा पळय ब्रावनी तो तुमी कलंगूट येवन ताका पळयल्यान हांगा शिकले. पण तुमी रेसिपी करपाक तुमकां म्हणजे वेगवेगळे डेजर्ट्स करपाक तुमकां म्हणजे खंयच्यान आयली उमेद खंयच्यान आयली?
I used to watch my mother baking during Christmas time. Okay, and that inspired me to try out things on my own. Normally it is quite daunting for somebody, it's quite scary for somebody to do baking because after all the mixing, after all the trouble, you bake it and then it does not come out right. That is a little bit disappointing.
ना
But
पण
it's always
पूण एक वेगळीच खुशी आसता जेन्ना आपूण कितें तरी करता.
when it comes out,
Yeah.
it comes out well.
Yeah. वाव.
Okay, so
सो आमचो ब्रावनी रेडी आसा.
it's half an hour and yeah, now the brownie is getting ready.
सो अर्दवरा भितर तो रेडी जाता ब्रावनी.
Yeah.
वाव.
So you can see it's slightly glossy on the top. Okay, it's got a little
Very
bit of a
shine
shine.
आयल्या.
Yeah. So now we just allow it to cool till it reaches room temperature, and then we will slice it and it's ready to serve.
ओके म्हणजे थंड जाल्या उपरांतूच मागीर स्लायस
Yes.
मारप.
Yeah. But now that we've allowed it to cool down, we should allow it to cool down for at least 2 hours so that we can slice it better.
केक थंड जाल्लो आसा आनी आतां थंड जालो म्हणटकच आमकां काडपाक बरो पडटा आनी कट करपाक
It becomes easier to cut. Okay, but the thing with bakery and desserts is that even if it's a slight mistake, you can always eat it. Okay, it doesn't go to waste.
ओके.
So now it's easier because of the paper.
पेपरा खातीर इजी पडटा आमकां
We
बटर
just
पेपर.
Pull it out, and as you can see, it's
सो
set
तो
quite
थंड
well.
जाल्या उपरांत
Yeah.
वेवस्थीत काडपाक मेळटा.
Okay, now we just cut a generous piece.
सो आतां तो कट करपाक जाय. वाव. सो आता ते एक थंड जाला म्हणटकच तो बेगीन कट जाता
Yes.
आणि बटर पेपरा खातीर आमकां इजी
It's
पडटा.
easier to take out. Okay. Have a small
So,
piece
wow.
because it's quite
Wow.
rich.
वाव परफेक्ट. सो पळोवनूच म्हाका रूच सुटली. आणि म्हणजे ब्रावनी एक अशें आसा की सगळ्यांक आवडटा.
Yeah.
म्हणजे कोणीय जावं अशें खावपाक सोदता ते. अशें एज लिमीट अशें कांय ना.
Yeah. Okay.
आणि
so
ल्हान
yeah.
भुरगीं जाल्यार दवरचेच ना. थँक्यू.
So this is goes best with ice cream or milk
ओके आईस्क्रीम असल्यार तेजे बरोबर कॉम्बिनेशन बरें वयता केक.
or a glass of milk also tastes nice.
ओके सो दुधाचो ग्लास आनी ब्रावनी.
Yeah.
वाव.
It's a good combination.
चला तर आमी
Can-
खाऊया.
shall we go?
ओके. सो द चॉकलेटी फ्लेवर मेल्टिंग आनी तो सारकें मन भरलें. आनी कोणाक आवडना म्हाका दिसता डायरेक्ट खावची कशी दिसता. सो म्हाका आनी रावपाक जायना. हांव खातलें आनी खरेंच शेफ इतलो बरो जाला की तेजे जे भितरले फूल नट्स तुमी घातल्या आनी ती चॉकलेट बटर वाव
There's a difference in texture,
सुपर्ब.
yeah.
हय हय हय. आनी म्हाका दिसता की तुमी सुद्दां हो ट्राय करा मुद्दाम. आनी जेन्ना तुमी ट्राय करतले आनी कोणाकूय दितली आनी तुमकां परतो परतो हो खरेंच करचो पडटलो कित्याक तो इतलो डिलिशियस आसा. आनी भुरग्यांचे तर विचारूच नाका. ती तर एकदम हो केक नाच करतले. तर थँक्यू शेफ. तुमच्या खातीर म्हाका आतां असले बरे बरे ब्रावनीज करपाक कळटले आनी आनीकूय खूब कितें वाव सांगपाचें
Thank you.
गरज ना.